When you think of Alaska, what comes to mind? Serene natural beauty or a secret underworld of gang violence? Alaska. The name itself conjures up images of a vast icy wilderness, a land where nature reigns supreme. You picture the majestic peaks of the Denali, the shimmering beauty of the northern lights, the awe-inspiring sight of whales breaching in the icy waters. It's a place where the air is crisp, the landscapes are untouched, and wildlife roams freely. This is the Alaska we all know and love, the one we see in postcards and nature documentaries. But let's pause for a moment. What if we told you there's more to Alaska than meets the eye? What if we told you that beneath the serene, natural beauty, there's a different story unfolding, one that's far removed from the idyllic image we've all come to associate with this great state? Imagine, if you will, an underworld that exists within the very heart of this picturesque setting. An underworld that's as real as the icy landscapes and as persistent as the Alaskan winters. An underworld that's far removed from the tranquility we associate with Alaska. This is not the Alaska you see on the silver screen or read about in travel brochures. This is a different Alaska, one that's seldom talked about, one that's often overlooked. This is an Alaska where the icy landscapes are replaced by poverty-stricken neighborhoods, where the wildlife is replaced by a thriving gang culture. Yes, you heard that right. Amidst the serene, natural beauty of Alaska, there exists a secret underworld of gang violence. An underworld that's as complex as it is dangerous, as intriguing as it is disturbing. This is a world where gangs like the 326 Mob, the Mount View CPS, and the Lowdown CPS operate. A world where criminal activities like drug trafficking, carjackings, and robberies are a grim reality. A world that's as far removed from the idyllic image of Alaska as you can possibly imagine. But beneath this facade of tranquility, a darker reality lurks. Welcome to the secret underworld of Alaska's gang culture. The city of Anchorage, Alaska's largest, is home to an active gang culture, a stark contrast to the peaceful images often associated with the state. This bustling metropolis, wrapped in the snowy arms of the Alaskan wilderness, is a battleground for various gangs, each vying for territory and influence. Let's begin with the 326 Mob. Originating from Compton, California, this Bloods gang has found a foothold in Anchorage. Their activities mainly revolve around drug trafficking, bringing in harmful substances that disrupt and damage communities. Next, we have the factions of Mount View CPS and Lowdown CPS, both of which are active in the area. Their presence, like that of the 326 Mob, adds to the tension and violence that pervades certain neighborhoods. Speaking of neighborhoods, Fairview and Mountain View are hotspots for gang violence. The tranquility of these residential areas is frequently shattered by the criminal activities of these gangs. And then we have the alleged Blood and Crips factions. While their presence is not as well documented, they add another layer to the complex web of gang culture in Anchorage. Let's talk figures. While exact numbers are difficult to pin down, crime rates in these neighborhoods are significantly higher than the national average. Drug trafficking is rampant, fueling a vicious cycle of addiction and crime. Robberies and carjackings, often orchestrated by groups like the Flight Squad, are not uncommon. These figures paint a chilling picture, a stark contrast to the peaceful wilderness typically associated with Alaska. This is not the Alaska shown in travel brochures or nature documentaries. This is an Alaska that is grappling with the harsh realities of gang violence and crime. An Alaska that is much more than its serene landscapes and majestic wildlife. Let's delve deeper into these gangs, their activities, and their impact on Alaska's communities. We start with the 326 Mob, a gang with roots that stretch as far as Compton, California. This isn't your average street gang. They've solidified their presence in Alaska, notably in Anchorage, through a network of drug trafficking and a laundry list of criminal activities. This gang has managed to import the harsh realities of Compton's gang culture into the snowy wilderness of Alaska, a shocking juxtaposition. Now let's turn our attention to the Fairview and Mountain View neighborhoods. These areas, commonly associated with the picturesque Alaskan landscapes, are now hotspots for gang violence. Various factions operate here, including the Mount View CPS and Lowdown CPS. These gangs, allegedly affiliated with the notorious Bloods and Crips, have also staked their claim in Anchorage, further complicating the city's gang landscape. And then, there's the Flight Squad. This group is less concerned with territory or allegiance, and more focused on pure criminal activity. They've specialized in carjackings and robberies, adding another layer of fear and instability to communities they target. Residents, once content with the serenity of their Alaskan homes, now live in constant vigilance, their peace shattered by the relentless activities of these gangs. These groups, under the guise of camaraderie and brotherhood, have created a parallel universe within Alaska, a universe where crime, violence, and fear are the norm. They've managed to carve out their own piece of the Alaskan wilderness, transforming it into a battleground where only the ruthless survive. The stark contrast between the serene beauty of Alaska's landscapes and the harsh reality of its gang culture is a jarring reality many Alaskans face daily. These gangs, operating under the radar, have a profound impact on the communities they infiltrate, disrupting the peace and tranquility Alaska is known for. The impact of these gangs extends beyond crime rates, affecting the social fabric of Alaskan communities and challenging law enforcement. Indeed, the presence of active gang culture in Alaska, particularly in Anchorage, is more than a matter of numbers. It's about the day-to-day life of people who inhabit these areas, the atmosphere of fear that permeates these communities, and the constant disruption of peace. Families live with the knowledge that their neighborhoods are battlegrounds for rival factions. Children grow up in an environment where violence is normalized and the threat of danger is ever present. This issue also presents significant challenges for law enforcement. Gangs like the 326 Mob and the Flight Squad are involved in a range of criminal activities, from drug trafficking to robberies. The sheer diversity of these activities, coupled with the complex network of alliances and rivalries among these gangs, makes it difficult for the police to effectively curb gang violence. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are concerted efforts by local law enforcement and community organizations to combat this issue. Police units are working to dismantle these criminal networks and bring those involved to justice. Community organizations, on the other hand, are focusing on prevention and reformation. They work to provide young people with alternatives to joining gangs, offering educational opportunities and mentorship programs. They also help former gang members reintegrate into society, providing them with the support they need to leave their criminal past behind. Yet, despite these efforts, the problem persists. Gang culture in Alaska remains a hidden facet of Alaskan life, often overshadowed by the state's natural beauty. This contrast between the serene landscapes that Alaska is known for and the violent gang culture that thrives within its cities is a stark reminder of the complexity of this issue. While law enforcement and communities work tirelessly to combat this issue, it remains a hidden facet of Alaskan life, often overshadowed by the state's natural beauty. So when we think of Alaska, we must now consider both its serene beauty and its hidden underworld. It's a stark contrast, isn't it? On one hand, we have the breathtaking landscapes, the pristine wilderness, and the tranquil solitude that has come to define the state of Alaska. On the other hand, we have a shadowy underworld teeming with gang activities, drug trafficking, and criminal behavior. We've delved into the world of Alaskan gangs, spotlighting groups like the 326 Mob, with roots tracing back to Compton, California, and the Flight Squad, notorious for their involvement in carjackings and robberies. Anchorage, Alaska's largest city, has been identified as a hotbed for these activities, particularly in neighborhoods like Fairview and Mountain View. These gangs, their activities, and their impacts on communities stand in stark contrast to the peaceful, serene image of Alaska. They've managed to carve out a niche for themselves in places where the sun barely sets in summer and barely rises in winter. They operate in the shadows, making the most of the long nights and the seclusion provided by Alaska's vast landscapes. But it's not all doom and gloom. We've also highlighted the efforts being made to combat this underworld. Law enforcement agencies are working tirelessly, community initiatives are being put into place, and individuals are stepping up to challenge the status quo. It's a constant battle, a tug-of-war between the forces of order and chaos. So, as we wrap up this exploration of Alaska's secret underworld, let's not forget the contrast we've discovered. It's a reminder that even the most beautiful places can harbor secrets, that beneath the tranquility can lie a world of chaos and disorder. Alaska, a land of beauty and wilderness, also harbors an underworld that challenges its tranquil image, a reality that reminds us that even in the most serene of landscapes, darkness can lurk beneath.